Good morning, Paul. Thanks for having me on. My name is Mandy Feindt. I am a major in the United States Army, currently serving on active duty. My family is one of approximately 93,000 families who were impacted by the Red Hill water crisis. There were thousands and thousands of gallons spilled into our drinking water with jet fuel. And this came from the Red Hill bulk storage facility. It's been around for 80 plus years. When we were poisoned, I had a 1 and a 3-year-old, and my husband is also a civilian. We started getting sick in roughly May of 2021, and we found out later that there was a massive spill in May and then another one in November.
My first impression, having just fought this fight with burn pits, is since we had to explain to DOD and the VA that yes, it's unhealthy to breathe jet fuel that's been burning, that the logical nexus of the next fight would be to say, by the way, you can't drink it or bathe in it either. So I'd like to say that I'm surprised, but given the track record, unfortunately, I'm not really.
We went through the 6-month FTCA process. We made a complaint. They had an opportunity to negotiate, or they also had the option to say absolutely nothing. And so the latter happened. They said nothing, and now we have a right to file a federal claim. So we did launch a federal lawsuit last Wednesday. Within the lawsuit, there leaves room for many others to file. So it says, the Jane and John Does to come.
Do you feel that what's been done to clean up and contain this has been in any way sufficient?
No, we are very tight, and especially being, advocates for this event with thousands of family members who are still being impacted every day. And I wish I could tell you for fact, but there has just been this whole narrative of how the Navy has been, so transparent with us, and that's coming from DOD down. And it's what's being told and sold to the media, if you will. And for someone who is personally impacted by this, I can tell you that there's been a lack of transparency, and we are truly, on a wild goose chase. We are truly Aaron Brockoviching our way through this entire crisis, because there's very little to no information being put out about this crisis. The Navy and the Department of Health for Hawaii put out in March the water was safe. And I'll tell you that we got sick right after moving back in. Thousands of families have still, and are still today as we speak, Paul, being impacted by this. So no, not at all.
You're taking on this fight as an active duty major. All I say on that one is hats off to you. You remind me of this other woman I know named Rosie Torres, who does not back down something that is unjust, and my hat's off to you.
Self-reporting was originally how we found out about it. The 9th of December, I had a hand-delivered note taped to our front door that said, the water in your house is unsafe. Do not drink the water. Here, resources is where you can go and get clean water. And then I was just like, what is going on at this point? That is when I, fought to get clean water for our kids in the CDC. Our CDC, where our kids went, was the largest CDC, 250 plus children, and then all of their staff. From the director down, they were not tracking that the water was not safe. Now we're being told that there was testing being done, but even the directors weren't tracking the results from that, because I asked. And I said, if you don't know that this water is safe or not, A, how are you still open? And B, why haven't you been giving the kids clean water? That's really how I got involved, just fighting for clean water for our kids.
You said something too about animals who are just dropping dead in their yards. Did that sound?
Oh God, it was awful. And I'm not a pet owner, but certainly I have, empathy. Yes, animals died. I remember going to visit this one lady who, was really struggling, and there were dead birds all over her front yard. There's dead fish everywhere, dead birds. Again, people's animals were dying. It was horrendous.
Where is battle for all of this right now?
Well, we are in Colorado. We did get a compassionate reassignment. I'm still encouraging military leaders to speak with me, and I keep getting, again, canned responses from our most senior leaders. Those leaders, they're not meeting with real people and real families that have been impacted. And I've asked for that. I went out to Washington, not a single Army leader, no one from the Department of Defense. That was really discouraging. I flew out on my own accord, on my own dime, on my personal time, to go and have these conversations to gain support, and not anyone from our military ranks would be with me. I'm going back out to DC in 2 weeks time, again taking my own personal leave, going out as Mandy Feindt, not Major Feindt, and have asked since June to meet with senior military leaders about Red Hill. And to date, I still don't have any meetings locked down with any of them. No one's willing to meet with me. No one is talking about this stuff publicly. Like, President Biden, our commander in chief, has not, even made a statement about this, and we're his own people.
Would you feel comfortable just talking about some of the impact this had on you and your family?
Our situation sucks, but truly, like, knowing other people's stories, like, our story pales in comparison to other family stories. But we have, I mean, as far as like the medical symptoms, we all have some of the similar things. Like, we all got sick, we all had diarrhea issues, couldn't control our bowels. I mean, I was sitting in adult depends having meetings, like, horrendous, right? We were all nauseous, sick, vertigo, headaches. Those were all sort of the things that we were all experiencing. And then as far as like individual family members, so my husband Patrick, he has a lot of GI related issues, a ton of like abdominal flank pain. The migraines are still very, prevalent in his life. And my husband can't even work right now because of how much pain he's in. My kids are being seen by like 9 different specialists right now, and most of them are at Children's Hospital here in Colorado. But the kids are being seen by dermatology, just based off of their exposure to their skin. My son is being seen by pulmonology, a lot of behavioral health type issues with my daughter. They're both being seen by neurologists, immunologist. In fact, I'm going up this afternoon to Children's Hospital to see an immunologist. I think that's how you say it. Hematology, toxicology, pediatric specialist. Like, there's not a week that goes by that we're not at a doctor, at least 5 or 6 times throughout the week. When we raised our right hand, when I raised my right hand, almost 20 years ago, I gave my life, my body, my everything to the military. We have a unique opportunity for the first time, like with burn pits, with 9/11 first responders, with Camp Lejeune, right? Like, you all, part of that, and me too, like, have fought that for many years, like for decades, some, to get symptoms associated with the exposure, right? We are real time right now. We have an opportunity to get ahead of some of this. And so that's like the biggest thing. That is why there's this huge push for proactive medical, intervention, if you will. And if there's not research, what they say there's not, then you know what, like, create a research team and like, let's get ahead of this. And we have an opportunity to do that now. So that's like our first and foremost.
Thank you for taking the time to talk with us about all of this. I think your folks who are dealing with this are exceptionally lucky to have someone like you in the fight with this, to the point that I don't think they know how lucky they are.